Hello, algebra students. Okay, so I'm going to read the directions for you for your quiz for Friday that has to be handed in on Monday. Okay, so I'm just going over these, maybe a couple of tips along the way. Okay, question number 1. State whether the parabola is a minimum or a maximum. Give the coordinates of the vertex. So what I'm asking for is two things. One, you have to write whether it is a minimum or a maximum. It's only one. You only can pick one. So first half of this question is basically multiple choice. Either pick minimum or maximum. Second part of this equation is you find the vertex. Now remember, we need the vertex in x, comma, y. So you got to tell me what the x value is. Okay? You got to tell me what the y value is of the vertex. That's it. That's not too bad. Second part. Well, second question. Same idea, slightly different graph. You state one, whether it is a maximum or a minimum. Pick one. And number two, you find the coordinates of the vertex. That's it. Now, for this next one, I super highly important, recommend you go to Desmos on your computer or your calculator and use this and graph these three functions and see what these three functions are. I want the graph that is the widest. So if I'm graphing, let's say, two graphs. Let's say I'll take a pencil here. These are not these graphs here. This is just me coming up with something on the top of my head. I'm not quite sure what these graphs look like. So this would say, okay, so here's my xy. I would put it in www.desmos. I would put 3x squared. I would put 2x squared. And I would put 4x squared, all into Desmos. Now what I would end up with is three different graphs. Let's say one like that, maybe one like that, and maybe, let's pick another color. That was green. Oh, let's do blue. And one like that. So I would look at it like, oh, the blue one. Oh, the blue one is this one. So the widest one, you put here. Whatever one of these is the widest one. You put, I don't know. Let's say the widest one is 85x squared. Then you look at the other one. You say, well, which one is the narrowest one? Okay, well, it's obviously this green one. So you would say, okay, this one is, 14x squared. There you go. That's all you have to do. Now, there was a rule with this, and the rule was the greater the number in front, meaning from 1 to, 100 or whatever, the higher the number got, the narrower it would be. The other half of the rule was that the fraction, if the fractions were smaller, the wider it would be. Good thing to think about. So if this one, a whole number one, like 3x squared, is going to be much narrower than, let's say, 1/3 x squared, something with a fraction in front of it. This would be very wide, and this would be something that would be very narrow by comparison if you compare the two of them. I'll give you a hint, this is not the widest or the narrowest in that question. Okay. Question 4, same exact thing. And this is why I recommend you going to www.desmos.com. You can use the website. You can download the app for your phone. I would recommend downloading this for your phone and keeping it on there until at least the end of the school year, if in case we're doing this all school year. So I would graph these 1, 2, 3. I would graph this one, not the Y, and this one, and then compare the three of them and tell me which is the widest, the biggest, and which is the narrowest, the smallest. Okay, that's not bad. That's 4 questions out of, I think, 7. So at this point, if you had these, you probably would pass. Okay, so now, this one, 5. Now I put a piece of graph paper here for you. You do not have to use the graph paper. I would say only use the graph paper unless you could not do it another way. It says, how are the graphs related? So in this problem, personally, how I would do it, easiest way, I put it in the graphing calculator and see the difference between the two graphs. Now, it's either shifted up or shifted down. So my final answer would be something along this line. Y equals x squared plus 3 is shifted blank units blank from x squared. Always go from x squared. Make this your second one. So what has happened? This one is shifted how many units? Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If you graph it, you'll see it on the graphing calculator. There's also another way to tell. If you just look at this. Now, up or down is the second part. So you over here, you will say, well, it's either going up or it is going, let me find a pen with my pen, down. In this case. Sometimes it can be left and right, but in that case, it'll be up or down. So x squared plus 3 is shifted blank units. How many units? How many? How many units up or down from x squared? Look at them both. Now, I think graphing is the hardest way to do it. If you know the rule, this way is very easy. If you don't know the rule, graphing calculator is probably the second easiest way. Next part. Same exact type of problem, except I have a different thing. So for this problem, y equals x squared minus 6 is shifted how many units? Then up or down, you got to pick one from y equals x squared. So you got to fill in this and this. You got to pick one, up or down. And here you got to put a number, I don't know, 45. I'm going to check who puts 45 in because they will be completely wrong. If I see you put 45 in there, I'm getting you a 0 in the whole thing. Okay, next part. How many solutions does each one of these equations have? This is a multiple choice. Another one where graphing calculators help. So you put this in, you'll figure it out. So here's my thing. So I'll give you one quick lesson here. Up, down, 3 possibilities. Okay, so no solution. So if you have 0 solutions, 0, absolutely none solutions, that would look like, let's pick a good color, let's make the graphs red. This. Oh, actually correct, that's 1 solution. 0 solutions would look like this. Finally, 2 solutions would look like that. So it crosses the x-axis at 2 points. This one doesn't cross the x-axis at 0 points. And this one crosses the x-axis at 1 point. So your choices are 0, 1, and 2. There's no 3. It's only 0, 1, 2. Graph them on the graphing calculator. Check it out. Okay, we're almost done here. Okay, so again, what are the solutions to x squared minus 9? There's a way to do it graphically, mathematically. I could take x squared minus 9 equals 0, and I could solve. Let me do an example on the bottom here. Let's do x squared minus 16 equals 0. I would just do it like this. Solve for x. Got to square root both sides. And you have x equals plus or minus, in this case, 4. Square root of 16 is 4. So it would be x plus 4 and x minus 4. Another way to do it is graph it. So if you graph it, you would see that it would come and intersect at 4 points, -4 and +4. This is not the right answer. This is for this one. You have to figure out this one. This has a different answer. Okay, so the actual answer, I'm not giving you the answer. I'm giving you how to do it. 9. Finally, question 10. Same exact thing. You could do something like this. Let's do I'll make one up here. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. 32 minus 32. 2x squared minus 32. Here's an example, real quick example of how I would do this mathematically. You don't have to do it mathematically. You could use the graphing calculator, but I'm just showing you. So this would become 0. This would become 32. So I have 2x squared equals 32. I divide both sides by 2. I have x squared equals 16. And if you remember the other problem, square root and x would be plus or minus 4. That's an example. That's not the real answer. This is the other one. To do this, you could also graph it. Okay? And your two answers, well, they would be here. And this is a bad example here. So I would say x equals 4 and x equals -4. Don't just draw the graph. You got to show me the numbers. If you're saying 4, highlight this is 4, -4. Or write it like this. Or write it like this at the bottom here. X plus or minus -4. Plus minus 4, excuse me. That's it, people. All right, go to work. Any questions, email me. I don't know how often I'll check my email over the weekend, but I'll try. All right, have a good one.